Oh shit. Here we go again. Worst place in the world.
The release of the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition was a total disaster. Starting from the idea that you need to buy the whole trilogy instead of buying one game that you actually want, and ending with the overall quality of the remaster.
Now you get this straight. We own you. You're ours. We can shit on you from such a height, you'll think God himself has crapped on you. You understand?
Basically, almost everything was terrible. This version was actually a downgrade to the original games, especially San Andreas. The remaster changed the lighting to, I guess, more realistic, and also removed the fog, which made San Andreas look just terrible. Since its release, the trilogy has received a few patches that improved the performance and some other stuff. The latest patch also added the classic lighting option to San Andreas. In particular, the developers added the lighting from the mobile version of the game. Apparently, all this time there was a relatively good version of San Andreas, but it was for smartphones, which makes this whole story even more insane. With the classic lighting option, San Andreas is much better, just look at the difference. Who thought this new lighting was a good idea? There are still some visual glitches, but generally the game works fine now. With this new patch, I finally picked the Definitive Edition and started playing San Andreas, which I haven't done in at least 10 years. And while playing it this time, after GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, I noticed how differently San Andreas and I guess older GTAs are designed compared to newer Rockstar games. In particular, how different relationships between open world and missions are designed. I don't know if San Andreas mission design is better or worse than, for example, GTA 5. I think it's a matter of preference. But I would say that San Andreas design is more fun, as it creates more truly random and chaotic situations.
What?
In this video, I will try to explain what I mean and compare the mission designs of Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA San Andreas. But before that, I want to briefly discuss how San Andreas feels today.
Taste the good donuts. Let's roll.
Generally, I think San Andreas can easily captivate you even now. The biggest point of the game is shooting. It feels bad, it looks bad, the animations are extremely outdated. Shooting is sort of slow and boring. Usually you just stand or sit and shoot, and the enemies do the same. However, I don't think shooting is a very huge issue because you don't really shoot that much in San Andreas. You drive a lot more when you shoot, and driving is still great. It is very responsive and cars behave differently. Driving in San Andreas is much better than driving in most contemporary games. Additionally, the variety of mechanics and missions in San Andreas is insane, which again diminishes the issue of outdated shooting. There is even stealth in this game, which I didn't remember at all. I guess I just deleted this part from my memory because the stealth looks hilariously bad. But again, you need to do it just a couple of times, and generally I think it adds to the variety of what you do in the game. Of course, the best thing about San Andreas is the characters. There are so many funny moments and dialogues, so many memes.
Hey, I'll take a number 9. Fat boy.
Give me a number 9 just like his.
Let me get a number 6 with extra dip.
I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, a number 7, 2 number 45s, 1 with cheese, and a large soda.
This part of the game still feels great. Scene direction, despite the outdated graphics and animation, can still surprise you sometimes. A lot of scenes inspired by films like Con Air, Big Lebowski, Terminator 2, and some others. So generally I think San Andreas is still worth playing. One of the big reasons for that is how missions are designed in relation to the open world. So let's talk about that. But first, I want to briefly discuss how missions are designed in the latest Rockstar game, Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably one of the greatest games I ever played, but one aspect of this game I'm not a huge fan of is how closed missions are. Basically, in Red Dead Redemption 2, there are two game modes, open world and missions. In the open world you have complete freedom, but on missions you have a very narrow path scripted by developers, and you cannot go away from this path. Quite literally, missions have limited zones. If you go beyond the zone, you fail the mission. Moreover, when you are on a mission, the game directs you at all times. It forces you to do certain things in a particular order and a particular way. As a result, you have a very cinematic experience in this game. Just absolute cinema. And it's great, there's nothing wrong with this. But Red Dead Redemption 2 is also a very long game. There are 110 missions, and at some point, especially when you do sort of filler missions, the mission design starts to feel a bit too limited. You constantly feel directed or controlled on missions, and this feeling contradicts how you operate in the open world. San Andreas, on the other hand, is designed in the opposite way. It mixes together the open world and missions. So let's talk about that.
I'm more into that hardcore gangster shit.
Unlike Red Dead Redemption 2, San Andreas has one mod, the open world, that almost always has the same rules. A mission in San Andreas is basically a certain task that you need to complete in the open world. You're not taken out of the world during missions. When you start a mission, you usually need to go somewhere, and you're not limited in how you get to a location or how fast you need to do it. Obviously, there are some exceptions. Some missions are time limited, but generally, when you start a mission, the open world is not turned off. On your way to a mission points of interest, you can stop and eat, go to a gym, and encounter police or gang members. A lot of things, truly random things, can happen on a mission. One exception from this rule is when you take over territories from other gangs. During this activity, the police just doesn't work.
As an officer in charge of putting an end to gang violence, I find myself in a difficult moral position, Carl.
Yeah, right.
This more open mission design generates some cool random situations. Here's an example that happened to me during one of the first missions in the game, in which you need to beat one guy. When I started doing it, a police officer noticed it, which triggered a wanted level, and the police started chasing me. A simple mission transformed in a very chaotic situation. Such situations can also be generated by rival gangs. They can start attacking you not only in the open world, but also during missions. Similarly, during car chase missions, you can encounter some bizarre situations. For example, here I'm trying to pursue a train with big smoke, and two cars just randomly crash into the train. I know that it's random because I failed the mission, and this situation did not happen on my second attempt. In GTA 5, such missions are heavily scripted, and something like this happens very rarely. Finally, another cool thing about open mission design in San Andreas is that you can usually complete the task in more than one way. For example, if you need to kill someone, instead of using guns, you can just run over the enemy with a car. In some cases, when you know that there is going to be a car chase and you know what car is going to be used by your enemies, you can shoot the car's tires, which will help you during the chase. Now, of course, there are scripted police and gang encounters in San Andreas, and to be fair, there are some missions that are heavily scripted, but compared to later Rockstar games, they are quite rare.
Damn, man, this lyrics is horrible.
That dude needs some work, man.
Hell shit.
I want to repeat that I'm not saying San Andreas is better than Red Dead Redemption or something like that. I think these games are just designed in two different ways, and it's a matter of preference. I think later Rockstar games gained quite a lot in terms of direction, but lost a bit in terms of pure gameplay fun. And I understand why. A more scripted mission design is a safer choice because the player will get the experience intended by developers. San Andreas' more open mission design generates some fun, chaotic situations, but they are random, and so players' experiences can vary. Personally, I like GTA San Andreas more than GTA 5, and I hope that maybe Rockstar will find some sort of balance between well-designed missions and player freedom in GTA 6.
Cause you've been dealing drugs, man, since the age of 10.
Well, let me know in the comments what your favorite GTA is. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe.
Yeah. I like to thank my fans, my mama, and my dealer.